Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have a 3v3 on Death Row of all maps, so this is in fact a 1v1 map, a straight and narrow destruction game to 6,000 points. We'll have to see how far along we can get. And I'm playing as South Africa, my teammates are playing as, it looks like USA, and, well, I don't quite know what. Could be two USA decks, it's a little bit hard to tell. We'll have to see as the game's moving forward. Now, I've chosen to stack into the front lines and do the infantry grind, which is maybe a questionable choice in a 3v3 on this map, but I'm hoping that the South African Parabat can carry me through. Now, Parabat are 15-point shock infantry, very capable for the point costs, and, well, one of my favorite units on their entire roster. The only downside is that they can't come in Rattle 20s, which are the definitely overperforming 15-point South African transports. We do also have a Logim to anchor the formation, and a Cactus Sov to provide anti-air, Rattle 81 mortars if needed, although I sort of forget about them from time to time, and we're starting to get eyes on our opponents. So my allies' longbows and Apaches are moving up, getting a couple kills, but really not on all that valuable targets, mostly just troop transports, and you can see that reflected in that point value here. We're going to, well, this is going to be a bit of a challenge for me to cast because I'm not entirely used to it. Lab 25 FSVs, 20 points, very, very nice. Stacks of 4, maybe not so much. These are 80-point quad stacks, and they're way too far forward in the woods, so they're going to get hit by infantry AT weapons if we're not careful. KA-52 also does take out our eyes, so unfortunately that longbow is gone, and we're down 150 points to 15. I've marked where I think radar AA is. It was pretty close, not exact, but in fact pretty close. And I believe I have MechInf over here, yep, MechInf and Rattle 20s providing infantry support on that side. So in the meantime, my Parabat are just putting up defensive formations here. I was thinking, this is aggressive enough into the middle that I'm fine with it for right now. And those Lab 25s move forward. Let's see if they can do anything good. Monostrelki are dying. That is very nice, but, well, we'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. 2 of them are already gone. That's 40 points total. Weapons jammed, more kills, more losses, and I mean, the Apache support is nice. Those rocket pods did some very excellent work grinding down those Monostrelki, but of 3 quad stacks of Lab 25s, well, they're all dead, and in the meantime, a KA-52 is getting some pretty choice shots in the Apache, although it does look like he's taken down by an M163 Pivans, one of the most valued kills of the entire game. Now, Dynas are tangling with US Marines, M2A2 Bradleys, and a lot of stuff they don't want to very much. So, of course, the weight of fire from the M2A2s will outweigh what the Dynas are able to put out. Well, at least on open ground. I think that's pretty fair to say. Although one of the Bradleys does go down, and the T-55 is wisely retreating. So, pretty good maneuvers there from our opponents. We have also had a bit of a helicopter skirmish over on the eastern side that I wasn't quite able to show, so my apologies there. Brocot 76 moving up, he's providing our eyes, but takes a big hit from the Dyna. And let's see if he's going to take another one. Let's see, and we get the kill on the Neva just in time as the Brocot does go down. Now here comes what I was dreading. All those Lob 25s, with the exception of one, is dead. Casper K-Cars are providing a bit of fire support here, but now they're going to start grinding through, and I'm going to lose the Caspiers. I'm going to start, well, just getting pushed by infantry after infantry after infantry, and all of the surviving FSVs from that initial deployment as well. One of the Caspiers is down, Parabat getting stunned, more Parabat coming up to support, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infantry battalions, I guess. Well, infantry squads, I suppose is a better name for them, holding in this area. Now, here's what I meant earlier about the stat line on Parabat. They have shock training, which is very, very nice for infantry to infantry combat. And the RPG-7, while only 14 AP power, is usually enough to take down all but the heavier IFVs or troop transports you're going to encounter. 10 rounds per minute's pretty bad, but you have to get the points cost saving in somewhere, and that's where they tend to do it. So my intention is, if I do come up against IFVs, infantry fighting vehicles, the weight of RPGs can maybe take them down. Logan moved up, got a couple shots off, I think. Nope, not shooting anything yet, and I am moving up MechInf on the right-hand side as well, trying to get a flank on that position. Parabat doing decently well, killed a couple BMP2s, and you can see we're starting to rack up a couple points, 180 or so, off of those kills so far. Parabat moving up 2 squads into the forward villages, trying to get a couple sneaky kills here, but as we start to take fire, those will be retreating. Also, my Parabat getting panicked means that they've missed, I think, 6 different shots in a row on those BMP2s, or nope, it just takes 2 to kill them. And the Parabat taking a little bit more punishment than I would like, so I do retreat those, the other Parabat moving back as well, and the Pathfinders moving up to give hopefully support with those frag rounds of theirs, while the panicked Parabat on the western side are moving back. Samuel Cargo coming up. Now this will resupply and hopefully heal some of my Parabat, because men are of course made of oil and bullets. In this game anyway. I don't know about real life, but the Rothwell 20s pushing forward and actually able to find and I think shortly kill the command infantry from the Red 4 team led by Sfax. So yeah, let's see if we can get it, and yep, there's the kill, 100 points into the bank there, and the Rothwell 20s more than able to take out troop transports as well as potentially damage the Komandosi that were transported in them, although if one of them is even able to get off a single shot, that will die. But yeah, we get one of them, and those Rothwell 20 have more than made up their weight in kills. So T-62 is coming up, and this didn't worry me as much as it perhaps should have, because again, side shots from Parabat, if I can get them, would be very effective. We do also have mortar support coming in from an ally, very well appreciated there. And let's see, we've already hit him twice, it looks like, or maybe 3 times. Oh, that's such bad AP, but you do what you gotta do. That's 1 kill, and nope, that was a troop transport. T-62s are still alive and well. Parabat a little overwhelmed with the sheer number of opposition here. But the second transport down, we have killed one of the T-62s, and these guys have 1 single RPG left. Moving them to the side, and there it is. Down goes the T-62. I guess those guys are cheaper than I thought. In the meantime, Pathfinders and Parabat are decently well holding the line here. We've ground through a couple of Motostrelki, ground through some Spetsnaz Guerrilla, but not quite able to kill them completely so far, and I am choosing to retreat as my Samuel Cargo does near this area, as well as another Casper K car with some reinforcements. Login moving up, and now we have fired 2 shots, 2 kills, smoking the area just to make sure that I don't get hit by something like, oh, I don't know, an ATGM plane or the like. That would very much like to chomp my login for breakfast. BTRDs here, not really too worrisome, and as soon as the Samuel Cargo, I think I redirected because these Parabat with 4 men left on destruction, I mean, it would be nice to not give the enemy any points, even if only 30. From that, so this guy's going to park, and we're going to start to resupply here. There should be another Samuel Cargo on the way as well. Maybe not quite yet, but he will come in soon. Mechim are continuing to push. We also have US Marines backing us up from Trooper, although they are directed a little bit differently, and yeah, this is going to be a problem. BTR-70 is opening up, and the T-62 quad stack. Logan gets a nice kill there, but these guys are getting stunned and ripped apart by a tank main gun, where they really shouldn't be. Although, I mean, we do get a couple of good kills here. T-62s are very cheap, a little bit of cheap fire support there. They're basically like the FSVs that we quad stacked forward, at least my ally quad stacked forward earlier in the game, and now Apaches and Ladstingers, Rangers, we have kind of pushed on the eastern side of those mountains decently well, and we're starting to overwhelm the central position too. So BMPT takes a shot to the face in the login and keeps rolling, which just shows you how thick that frontal armor is. T-72 does fall away from that, T-62 rather does fall away from that, and now the Parabat are moving forward again, having been a little bit rejuvenated by the Samuel Cargo. I mean, a little bit, not perfect. Parabat with 10 left, 15 left, but the RPGs are resupplied at least, which does give us some good fire support there. H.A. Abrams moves up a little bit too far, and that side shot will take him down. Upon seeing that, I move the login back because, well, I'm not here to be a hero. I'm not here to suicidal login into my opponent's lines. I'm here to get valuable points and valuable kills at a favorable ratio. So Parabat, just overwhelming Spetsnaz here. These guys are dedicated infantry killers. They're going to get a lot of good work done, but the sheer volume of fire from his lines able to take down both of those squads. 70 points worth of kills there. A pair of Pathfinders opening up with frag launchers against Monostrelki, which is just going to be a bad way for those guys to do it. And we do finally, I think, lose a squad of Parabat here to more Spetsnaz as they open up their secondary weapons. That's 3 kills, and yes, so 1 squad is dead, another one very, very injured here, only 7 remaining, only 6 remaining up front as well. So my infantry are starting to get worn through, but you can tell from the login and from the Pathfinders and Parabat, we are, with 1,200 points, relatively well sitting pretty. In fact, points leader on our team by a decent margin, which always makes me kind of happy. Parabat on the northwestern side die, Parabat in the center die, and we're nearly losing the mech inf that I brought up to pad out this line a little bit, which is quite worrisome. They're trading decently well against Spetsnaz, considering the points cost difference. This squad does cost 70 points, the mech imps 40, So, very timely mortar support coming in, and that's going to panic these men, drop their accuracy just enough, and actually it might even, yeah, gets a kill, well, nearly gets a kill. We got the finishing shot with Mech-Inf, but it does save my battalion, so many thanks to Trooper with his Lav M's there. And we're finally bringing up more infantry to the front line. It's something, I mean, we have a lot of zones capped, but this is split between 3 people, so the income rate was comparatively low, at least felt very low during this entire game. Now, US Marines moving forward, where my own Mech-Inf earlier tried to and did die, unfortunately, to, I think Spetsnaz grew that held the line pretty well. Rattle 20 is starting to get through, and we're shooting at Motostrelki that are very uncomfortable with that sort of long-range engagement. Rattle 20 get lucky there, so Spetsnaz fire and miss. Well, it didn't really do all that much anyway, because those are anti-infantry weapons, but you can see there's a stun, and that is a nice way for things to die. Spetsnaz group facing off against Parapat Founders. These guys are also shock training, but that secondary weapon, let's see if I can pull that back up, the Y2 frag launcher will be very effective town-to-town fighting. One of the Rattle 20s goes down, but now I'm feeling a bit more confident with resupplied and new infantry on this front. And, well, my opponent's looking pretty thin, so we're going to start pushing forward. Casper K-Car's coming up to support as well, and those Spetsnaz do get worn through because they just don't have the tools to really handle fighting against infantry fighting vehicles instead of the infantry themselves. My Wargame is running out of steam here. He's actually fired all but 8 of his main turret shots. Pretty impressive, I'd say, from that perspective. You don't usually see, well, that much, well, I don't usually see that much value, maybe other people do, but my own tanks tend to die before they can unload all their rounds, except for very rare occasions. And a single unit of Spetsnaz retreating, we're going to start pushing up toward them real soon with the Parapathfinders and Mech-Inf. I had just wanted a little bit of resupply, if at all possible, before that happened. So Casper K-Car is moving up, and we do intercept, well, nearly intercept one of those cargo pieces here. Let's see, you have to kind of manually target resupply vehicles. For whatever reason, they're just not targeted. I think because they're considered better to be captured, but that often means your opponent can scout with cargo, and it's a little strange. One of those mechanics doesn't quite make sense in hindsight. But Mech-Inf and Parabat are catching isolated Spetsnaz and Motostrelki, just a couple too many of them for those towns, and they're a little bit too worn down. Main gun from the Wargame is also helping. We have something on the way here, and it swerves to the side just in time. So our Wargame got lucky, because that was definitely an ATGM, and I don't want to take any of those to the face very quickly here at all. That would be quite unpleasant, if I do say so myself. Parabat moving up, and they get a little bit, well, we'll see here in just a second, as my other men do secure now the enemy side of Delta, so we're capping these towns, we've captured an enemy cargo, and feeling decently okay here. Parabat moving forward, I'm just trying to intercept reinforcements coming this way in case they decide, we'll launch our staging point through here. It's a little bit of a tripwire as well for early warning, but we have something interesting going on in the south. Kampfschwimmer have gotten around and actually captured our FOB, moving to the side and just causing all sorts of trouble here. So these guys were dropped off in the southwest corner and have been an absolute nuisance since. But the Caspiers in combat's able to take them out and recapture the FOB. In the meantime, Parabat are engaging with AA weapons, and these guys just rip infantry to shreds in direct fire. It's kind of impressive. Parabat do get a stun, and my XTP beta that I sent in support unfortunately was shot down by a Tungushka of all things, so very expensive, very effective fire support. I have a Cactus Sob moving up, and resupply headed over to the Wargame as it's running out of both guns and fuel. So we're nearly at the end, about a minute left, and the reason for that is my ally Trooper, the one with the very nice mortar support earlier on in the game, has been able to move his Delta Force up and around. We now spot 2 Ondavas. We're also in their back base, and it's an unpleasant time all around. I'm also getting support with US Marines. I never recommend doing this ever, just don't. A 70-point bomber will come in and make up his money in a single run, and it doesn't even matter if he dies at that point, because your opponent's still up by 30 points. And let's see, the Delta Force should be opening up here in just a second. There's one. One Ondava is down. They do have a tertiary weapon that's good against infantry, but it's not nearly enough, and those Delta Force take down the second as well. And that will pretty much be the end of this game, as our opponents realize, well, yeah, they're a little bit overwhelmed here. So very nicely played to our opponents, and I'll be showing off the kills and losses here in just a minute so we can see what all was done. So in terms of kills and losses, 31-25 to my team, 2,085 to the opponents. Decent engagement there. This is not an uncommon sort of ratio that I've seen so far. 1635 kills for me, 810 losses. We did lose some very expensive pieces and a fair amount of frontline infantry as well. In terms of our opponents, Sphinx, I guess, rather suffered. Ethical Toby did alright, and Choice also suffered. He had a lot of infantry, and I think Spetsnaz that were getting killed by Parabat, which is always a bad trade. In terms of our units, Parabat did very well, Razzle 20s did pretty decently. The Logan did absolutely amazing. Look at that line of kills. A couple T-55s, BTR 70, a bunch of T-62s, and yes, they're cheap, but they add up. In addition to Razvetka, BMPs, and Gorostrelki, Spetsnaz Gru. So we hit some loaded transports as well, and those Wargame shells just tore right through and shredded the infantry inside. Although I think the Spetsnaz Gru was direct fire on the Spetsnaz in a town. Could be wrong about that. Mechams did very well. Komandosi and Skots killed. And let's see, Kaktusov did shoot down 2 MiGs, which I didn't even realize during the game, nor during the replay. So, all in all, pretty decent. I'm starting to really enjoy South Africa, although they do have their definite drawbacks. That's all we've got for today. Thank you all for hanging around, and see you again real soon.